You know the biggest superpower that every man has, but they can use it, but they may not.
The ability to abstain from sex.
Walk away. Yep. To walk away from situations that don't suit you. Because if you're a man on a mission, a journey, like you're a man of value. Caleb said that he didn't eat these things. So it's like, now it's like that you don't really realize, you may not really look at it that deep, but that even cuts off the women he may date, because there may be a situation where
they don't want to go to a vegan restaurant.
Right. Or they don't want to.
You don't want no barbecue?
They don't want to make no accommodations for him.
Yep.
They're not willing to make the accommodations for him. So he can easily cut a girl out, just like, okay, you're not for me. If you're already not willing to make accommodations for what just my eating, my dietary restrictions are right now, then you're later in our relationship, you're gonna be like, nah, I want to do this, and you're not gonna value what I'm really trying to do in my life.
We gonna talk bigs on this one here. You know what I'm talking about? Big. Fuck this, man. I heard investments make the Forbes list. Amazon, the Rock Nation made investments itself. Go buy the building, don't be worried about the door split. Even if the mission get hard, you can't avoid it. You see me getting money, well, I'm just expressing myself. It's harder building on your own, you always welcome to help. Build a mastermind group works in Napoleon Hill.
All right, guys, we back in again for another amazing episode of Change Agents. My name is Caleb.
I'm Trav.
And today we have one of my best friends and super excited for this conversation with Trey Bryant, man. How you doing, bro?
Hey, bro, I'm good,
man.
It's a long time coming, though, for
it's
real,
been a long time, man.
Good to meet you finally,
bro.
Yes,
so just a little bit about us, just to get started, man. Met at Kennesaw State. You got, a foundation in Augusta, for me, born and raised in Sandersville. So just coming together and like meeting in like the creative space in Kennesaw and that culture and stuff like that. Like just talk about that, like just that start, how we met. You know what I'm saying?
Man, going way back, and it's like crazy because it's literally been so long. I mean, even when you talk about we're like about to all be in our 30s now, and we've all known each other since we were like 19, 20.
Literally.
And just to be where we're at right now, it's definitely even inspiring, even to continue to talk to you about it. But in college, bro, everybody is trying to find their niche, find their thing they want to do. There are some people like Caleb who just immediately just knew. I'm sure there were things that you were still trying to find, dip and dab. But I mean, to a lot of us, it's just like, oh, he already knew. If he picked up the camera, he was always a business guy. I know you was in the business school, right?
Yeah. I was studying marketing at Kennesaw, and I was in the Coast College of Business. Mm-hmm. But even taking it a step further back, bro, like, how did we officially meet? I can't even remember that. Like,
I was really trying to BS until I thought about it.
I can't even think about like how we actually met for real, but like by way of God, I guess, man. Like our paths aligned, and you were starting out modeling and like things like that, and I was starting in the creative space just in general, like no creative background, no. Again, just for the record, no parents that have shot photos, no uncles, not even people just in my hometown that actually shot for it. I think we had just like one photographer that like shot everybody, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? Right. So like coming up here was just a complete culture shock in general.
I gotta give y'all some credit though. Kennesaw starting to compete with, down here it's like college competition. Mm-hmm. Valdosta State got a lot of talent.
Right.
That's where you graduated from?
No. I'm like I'm like an orphan. I just went everywhere. I went wherever the girls was. So, but we got a lot of people that work with us that went to Valdosta. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of people that work with us that went to FAMU.
Yeah,
it's a lot of talent out of Kennesaw, man, and y'all don't necessarily get that kind of credit. Why y'all think that is? Because Valdosta State not an HBCU either, so
they look like one. the way their culture is.
I would say like for us, man, like for me, for you, for shout out Sammy behind the camera producing, and Lindsay Barnett, coming into the fold as well with the studio and creating Culture Misfit. Shout out KM, shameless plug, but like it's just a lot of great talent that came from Kennesaw, and I don't think we really got the recognition we really deserve because it was no other class before us that really came from like Black Kennesaw except for us. Right. You know what I'm saying? So we
I
would
found some great talent.
we basically generation one, you know what I'm saying, of like black talent that really came through it. Like, you know, not to discredit nobody else that really came before us, but I don't really know nobody black that came through Kennesaw that was like doing outside of the norm things. You know what I mean?
The things that made people be like, oh, okay, you sure you want to do that?
Right.
How's your how your business going? Your little business?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that's more because society changed and like creatives and social media changed, or do you think y'all brought the change? Like, what do you think it was?
I think we brought the change.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think timing is everything, you know, and I think that where we were already headed, because even before social media was popping, we were doing this in college, you know, we
literally.
you know, and I think, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the benefit, somebody asked me recently, they were like, what do you feel like going to a 4-year, you know, PWI institution really gave you? And it really was network. You know, I think a lot of people 100%. Say, you know, I had a homie tell me one time, he was like, you don't, and he told me, he was like, Barrow, you know, when I, you know, get $1 million or 1.5 or whatever, I might be into watching horse races. I was like, no, you're not. He was like, you don't know who you are when you have the money and opportunity.
Yeah.
And we had the opportunity to go to college and meet each other, network.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't interested necessarily in becoming a model, a content creator, even in fashion anyways, before I got to Kennesaw. I was just kind of like finding my way. Just like he said, when he came up, nobody in his family picked up a camera. So I think that afforded us to meet each other, share ideas, find start our journey, and then kind of like, you know, graduate from there for being, like he said, class one.
Yeah. That's why I hate when, you know, it's this whole narrative now, especially in black culture, about how much you don't need college. And I always say you don't need college to make money. You need college to keep money. Because what's gonna keep you money is either learning the system or having the right network, and there's no other place you can go to for 4 years and get a Caleb Seals consult for free. Or get a Trey Bryant consult for free, or meet the network of people, be around them every day, learn the ins and outs of them and where they're going.
That's real.
And now, 10 years later, I think I want to get into fashion. Who do I know? I went to school with Trey. He still liked my photos. Like, he still responded to some of my tweets. Now I have that network. It's nowhere else you can get that other than college at that level.
That's very true.
So I just hate when people do it, and then, you know, I study everything. I'm like a junkie. But I was watching WeWork. It's a miniseries about WeWork.
Okay.
And the guy said the reason why he started WeWork, he was doing a speaking engagement at college. He said, you'll spend the rest of your life trying to recreate college. Girls trips, guys trips, girls night, the boys night at the club, the game. All you're doing is recreating the community that you had seamlessly at college that you didn't appreciate. Yeah. So you got workspaces, you got creative spaces, you got all of this stuff. All you're trying to do is go get 4 hours or 4 days of what it felt like when you was in college to just chill with your friends and talk about the stuff y'all like, and nobody got to worry about who paying the bill.
That is actually very true. I've never heard it put like that before, but that's extremely accurate.
Yeah.
So now you got to do podcasts. So like, you and Caleb probably gonna spend more time today than y'all done spent together in the last year.
This is very true. Probably last, what?
Yeah, a few years.
A few years,
like,
yeah.
At least 4.
Yeah.
So starting in modeling, what made you say, okay, this is the lane I'm carving out? What inspired you to say, okay, I want to go here?
Well, now, at this point in my life, I don't like to classify it as modeling because there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of differences in the industry. But I would just say, like, in the beginning, it was modeling. It was, again, us creating something that never had been there before at Kennesaw. So we had a modeling troupe called, XMT, and Extreme Modeling Troupe. And I somehow got a chance to be able to be a part of that, but I started learning so much while I was there. Yeah. It was just like things that, we had these things where while we were trying out and also like practicing for a show, they would put together a concept. And that was the first time, things that we do now and everything, mood board, concept, treatment, all that. And it was like, hey, this is how you're gonna come when you come to practice. And we were like, but I don't have clothes. I'm a broke college kid. But they were like, hey, you can put together these things. And this is at the very beginning of Instagram where people are just screenshotting and throwing it in the group me. And
for the record, this is like 2013,
Yeah.
2014,
Yeah.
maybe even late 2012, honestly. Like
dumb early.
I say 2011 to 2021, it's the second Black Renaissance. Like if you go into those 10 years of what we've done collectively as a culture,
Right.
it's never been that concentrated since the early Harlem Renaissance. Yeah. So that makes sense. Y'all were building the Renaissance.
Yeah. And from there, man, they taught us, I learned how to actually put colors together, color blocking. I learned about like, does this color go with this color? I learned what neutrals were. And, for me, it was just like, I got out and I told Caleb, I told Caleb, I said, bro, I think I'm gonna start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, what you wanna do? Like, why? And I told him, I was like, there's nobody that, like, at the time we're 22 years old. I knew for a fact there was nobody Black 22 in their early 20s that was talking about this, that knew about it. I was like, bro, at this point, like I thought I was a pretty fresh guy in college and I knew I didn't know this. So I knew there were other guys that didn't know it. And so, I really credit, I think Issa Rae, because that was the first time, she really was able to tell an authentic, not hood story with Black people. And I identified with that because I told Caleb, I was like, bro, like, we just want to, at the time, you just want to talk to girls, talk about how you get ready for a date, talk about what you were supposed to wear, like these are very authentic things we just wanted to show on screen. And I was inspired to be able to show that because nobody, in 2012, 2013, nobody was showing that stuff that was like us in our type of way, our experience.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off what you said, bro, another thing too is like, just the absence of like, male figures, what I'm saying? So like, we talked about that too. It's just like what you were doing early on was filling that void, what I'm saying? Just having male figures, other people who really knew things that, was common to us, right? But other people, that might even be to the left or right of you, they just didn't have that same experience, right? So like, not wearing a brown belt with black shoes, like things like that, we was creating videos on. So
early in the
game, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I remember shooting like a couple videos like that in the library at Kennesaw, bro. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like just seeing your journey, even from then to where you are now, hundreds of thousands of like followers on Instagram, like super like a lot of impressions and stuff that you've been getting, bro, like deals and stuff like that. So like, I just really want to transition a little bit and just talk about like, just that overall journey and like the hiccups, the successes, all that stuff like that. Like, how has that been for you?
It's definitely been a journey, still learning each and every day, trying to learn more, trying to network in the same space to meet other people who have been doing it, way longer than me. I think like, everybody says they want to be an influencer, content creator. Going back to your point earlier, I don't see myself as a model. I see myself as a content creator. But being an influencer is what pays the bills. And, what true influence is the impact you have on people around you and your audience. So if someone says, hey, if I say, I like wearing a Navy shirt, this Navy polo is my favorite polo right now. And somebody says, where'd you get it from? And I say, here, this is the link. And they go to that link and they buy it, that's influence. If I say, hey, I think guys, we should start wearing cologne before we go on dates. And other guys are like, okay, cool, I didn't know that. I'm gonna start telling my boys that we should do that. I'm gonna tell them all to follow you. That's impact on your audience. And that's truly what pays the bills. But I think what can kind of get hicked up or hiccups, like you said earlier, is how to go about that, how to translate on screen, because everybody can say, oh, I'm an influencer, I do this, I do that, I create these dope videos or I take these dope pictures, but is it having a real impact on people around you? And I think I didn't really understand impact for a while, like what it truly does. And I would honestly probably say until like maybe like 2 years ago, like when I started getting recognized in public. When people start recognizing me in public, and the whole, you be, you be going about your day, you busy, it's like, leave me alone, you got your headphones in. And somebody came up to me and they were just like, bro, I've been following you since this. They'll tell you about what what really inspired them in their life. And you gotta switch your energy up. Like, you don't want to sit there and be like, be a butthole about it. But, for me, that was like, okay, people are really actually watching what I'm posting, And then, to be honest with you, bro, like transparent, I think when it really started hitting me was when our friends from college were actually like, hey, I know this guy.
For real?
Like using it, like, oh, so-and-so told me they know you, bro. I'm like, they didn't talk to me like that. You didn't talk to me like that.
Man.
In the business side of being an influencer, they call that conversion rate.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like, I think we've got so like pigeonholed in the word, so then it's always funny, like, if you call Caleb a videographer, he almost gonna want to throw a camera at you. And Caleb is calm. But same way with model, same way like people have taken what the actual impact and the influence of what you're doing and minimized it to just a word. So that's why you don't necessarily like it, but the conversion rate is still important. How many people can you get to wear that blue shirt? How many people can you get to put on cologne? How many people can you get to do this content? And
It's still a business.
It's still a business.
It's all about money. Do not let nobody tell you everything in this world is about money. Now, don't be wrong. You in the journey of things, you're still able to impact people. But just like 106 in Park impacted us, they still was making money.
It had to make money. Everything is about money. It don't have to be your only reason for doing it. But it's all, I don't care what you do. We're not setting these cameras up if we don't see money at the end of the road.
Right.
So I think it's just important to highlight both sides. But then I get into like the early content y'all were doing. I think what's best about that era or our era is there's no blueprint. So like I look at somebody, I was talking to a guy at a restaurant yesterday, and he asked me who my favorite athlete was of all time. And I said Deion Sanders.
Okay.
He thought I was gonna say somebody else. I was like, well, Deion Sanders is the only one who didn't have a blueprint for what he did.
That's true.
Even Michael Jordan had Magic, Dr. J to a certain extent. LeBron, all of these people that we follow, they had a blueprint. Mayweather had a blueprint. Y'all didn't have a blueprint. So when did you know what you were doing was actually working, starting out?
I gotta back up a little bit because I think that like, even though I didn't have a blueprint, and I gotta be honest, I think I learned tremendously a lot from Caleb in the early days. Like, and not even, I think what truly didn't really make me come off as I want followers and stuff like that, but it was really coming from a place of a true creative. Caleb, two of the biggest points that I carry in my life today that Caleb was telling me early was, Trey, people have an attention span. So after about 43 seconds, he said this, bro, in like 2013. People have an attention span. Like, so after about 43 to 42 seconds, you lost them. So you don't really have to show too much. He used to edit stuff and send it back to me. I'd be like, bro, I want it to be like 2 minutes long.
Everybody watching them long videos.
So what you saying is Caleb messed up the algorithm.
He was a visionary. He saw where the algorithm was going.
He trained it.
Yeah, he saw TikTok before it was TikTok. But that, and then inspo. Even though there wasn't a blueprint, but he was just like, bro, what do you want this to look like when we get done? Inspo, like what are the pictures that you want? Finding that. And I carried that so far because, bro, a lot of people think that even though there is no blueprint, because you are who you are, you have your fade, you have your threes on. If somebody else, an Indian guy or a Puerto Rican guy put that on, they still look like a different person than who you are.
Right.
And so the thing is, you just have inspo. It's not copying. It's just inspo. You're still Travis. You still look like who you are, and somebody's still gonna identify with you. Right. So when he told me like, hey, bro, what does your inspo look like? And I would pull, other guys who are already doing men's fashion on social media, I realized, oh, you don't think I look like this guy. I'm not copying him. This is just, and then, obviously with him, Caleb, he makes stuff look like it's a mini movie. Everything.
See his story?
I do.
Man.
He don't do nothing. Everything is high class.
I be in the same room he should shoot the story in. And I'm like, mine don't look like this.
Right.
One thing I will say too, bro, like I know you pride the fact that like, I taught you a few things early on when you were starting out 2013, but like, just to kick it back to you, bro, like a lot of the advice that I was giving you, you actually listened to what I was saying. Like, you know how many people I talk to on a daily basis that don't listen to nothing I be telling them? Like, every day to this day.
Still.
That's crazy.
And that was 10 years ago, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you know, I always just, and this just goes into another thing where I talk about, like, just, like, change agents and why you're a change agent. Like, you take advice. You're not egotistical. You're always willing to listen to other perspectives. You know what I'm saying? And that's a huge thing. And just, like, again, being a black man, you know what I'm saying, in the space that you in, as a content creator, you know, so on and so forth, it's just like, it's huge. Like, I mean, all the different brands that you've had the opportunity to work with. And I remember just starting out and we were just shooting specs, bro, for like Forever 21 and 21 Man.
Yeah.
And you on the posters everywhere in the store, bro.
Right.
Like, let's talk about that. Like, what's that journey been like? Just that client alone.
That alone, I think, is just, it's still like, and it's always like putting yourself as a student in things because I try to take that direction. And whenever we shot, we didn't know exactly how we were gonna end up like, and also, you know, we're talking about Express too.
Yeah,
Express was
Express,
like,
I'm sorry.
Express, we started warming that relationship up early.
Yeah.
And, you know, now, you know, as of like last year, Express flew me out for a holiday campaign, you know, put us up in hotels, was on, you know, a billboard in Times Square. And, you know, it was a
little billboard in Times Square. It's okay.
Bro, you was on a billboard in Times Square, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Your face, not like something you wore.
And again, bro, like, just for the record, bro, we used to shoot with KM, bro. He used to model for KM like years ago. You know what I'm saying? 2014, 2015.
I think that's the first place I saw you at. Not like consciously.
Yeah.
Lindsay got the book.
The book.
Of like all the early photos. I was like, damn, this shit is hard. When y'all shot this?
in college.
Right.
So what was the first booking? Like, what was the first booking out like for a major brand?
I would say like we started when we were shooting. Sometimes Express would just was doing this thing where they were gifting me some suits, and I would be like, hey, Caleb, I'd be like, hey, you know, can we, you know, do some suit shoots and stuff like that? You know, shooting the product they gave me, and then they started reposting it, and we were just like, oh, like, you know, we were hyped. We were like, okay, cool. And I think from there, there was a little bit gap in my life where I was still trying to figure out, like, did I actually want to be a content creator? Did I want to be a model? Right. What do I want to do? But when, and I'll tell anybody this, TikTok changed my life. Like, TikTok truly changed my life. You know, I had another mentor prior to the pandemic. He had said, hey man, you know, you have to be able to pivot when things are changing, because everybody was just getting used to pictures. He was already doing video, and I was just kind of like, I just want pictures. And so during the pandemic, I was making like 9 videos a day, like 7 TikToks, and I was making like probably about a YouTube video a day. TikTok changed my life. You know, prior to the pandemic, you know, I had a mentor that told me, he was like, you know, be willing to pivot, because I really like pictures at the time, just like everybody else. And, you know, Caleb was already doing video, so I was already familiar with how to like make video and stuff like that. But, you know, being able to pivot, and I was making like 9 videos a day. So I was just maybe shooting like YouTube videos
a day.
Bro, because, you know, we were home.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had the time, and, you know, I got furloughed from my job. And so I was just grinding every day. And I got the opportunity to be able to start being seen on TikTok. Everybody knows TikTok gives everybody virality.
Right.
And so that virality, you know, building up and being consistent, start getting me to be able to be seen by brands. And with the first brand, this is crazy, the first brand that I got to deal with was Essentials. It was Essentials, the brand that I actually ended up doing today, a collaboration, dropping my own line with.
Fire.
Yeah, so they were the first people. So they were the first people that saw me. And then from there, you know, spiral, like little deals here, like, you know, sunglasses brands, you know, not fragrance brands just yet, but I would probably say the most notable, biggest one that probably people, like you said, you subconsciously saw me in Lindsay's book. You probably saw an ad from me from Amazon before.
More than likely.
Yeah. It was this. It was.
I live on Amazon.
Yeah. It was this huge ad I did for Amazon, and they ran it up. I didn't even realize, bro. I got paid like $1,000 to do it, And I didn't even, and at the time, bro, I'm telling my family.
Like, oh, it's lit.
I'm like, yo, Amazon, I just made this video for them.
Right.
And and that was like when people hear anything over like $500, it's like, oh, you making money. Hold on.
But the Amazon rep was like, we got him to do it for a stack. We need to keep the rest of the budget.
Right.
And ran paid advertisement behind that, bro. At this point, like, my wife is her and my brother-in-law are really good friends with Kev on stage. And he told Kev on stage, said, I think I see your husband. I'm seeing him. I'm like, I know if Kev on stage said he's seeing me on an Amazon ad, I'm the Amazon man.
Right.
And so different people are sending it to my mom or say, oh, I see the Amazon ad. And so I became the Amazon man. Going back to your hiccups, you don't want to marry yourself to a brand.
Facts.
Because then that can take away, because what a content creator,
curse.
right? It's like, it's like I want to be in relation to it, so it builds me up for other brands and people to know that I'm, notable and stuff like that, just like a blue check.
Because it takes away from other relationships, like Fluff and Progressive can't go to State Farm and vice versa.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give you a little pushback. Fluff from Progressive and what's the Verizon guy?
Yeah.
Would you rather have $100,000 deals or that deal that paid you 100,000 times? Because that Verizon, Fluff them is making bread.
What he's saying is, would you rather stay with that one brand
And be
you know
the
what I'm saying,
be the
good
king?
for life, or do you want to just keep dabbling with multiple different brands or here and there? What's your thoughts?
I would rather multiple. I would like multiple, but if it's the right deal, I would want like a long-term deal with like how State Farm has changed Jake's life, because being a part of that, it's like we wouldn't know who he was and he wouldn't have the opportunities he has now if he wasn't with State Farm.
Even if he did 50 other things before State Farm, we know.
Correct. And I think that everybody, you get known for something, whether it's fashion, whether it's being, an awesome creative in the space and stuff like that. But I do think that's important. But for me, I think being a millennial, we move and shake. Like, I'm sure all of us didn't stay at the same job for 5 years like our parents did, or 8 or 10. A lot of us
6
stayed.
months.
Right. Sometimes 3.
You're right.
But I think that you find the journey of what you need in that situation and that season, and then you get what you need and you go.
Move on.
And you move on. And I think with that, like, there are certain deals that have propelled me to where I'm at now. And I feel like if I had just said, oh my God, let me just keep pitching to Amazon. Let me just say, hey, I only want to work with you. I only want to work with you. I want to build. So we did $1,000, which is good to do that, but it's just like dating. You don't want to keep, you don't want to keep all your eggs in one basket until you really know, until
you're ready to get married.
Exactly.
Listen, married man, by
So
you got a different viewpoint in marriage, don't you? I can already tell you
I have
do.
a great view. I think I have a similar viewpoint of marriage.
Okay.
I think I just have a pessimistic view of people now in the way they view marriage.
I can
Like,
understand that.
at the end of the day, I feel like if I go through this life and I become Jeff Bezos and I don't get married, I failed. But I also know if I go through life and become Jeff Bezos where I'm married and it don't work, that's still a failure. So you like weighing off,
I can understand.
do you want to do that, right? But I want to touch on your line a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have this line coming out. Are you going to be the face of the line, or are you going more into the executive side of it?
So it already dropped. We dropped on April 1st.
Okay.
And well, I actually collaborated. The brand I collaborate with is actually the guy who owns it is an influencer too.
Mm-hmm.
He's a huge YouTuber in my niche, in my space. But what we did was he basically, I went in and went, the way we did it is I was a designer.
Okay.
Nice.
So I designed, the shirt that I have on, some trousers, not overcoats, but
so
like
you wearing
sweaters.
the brand?
Yeah, I'm wearing it right now. Yeah.
That's fine.
Plug it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Tell us a little bit more about like what
a
products
pack,
we got. You know
what a
I'm saying?
pack says.
Well, it's online. You
Yeah,
just order, but
And where can we find it?
essentials.com.
Okay.
Essentials.com. I'll send y'all the link afterwards. But yeah, so I mean, pretty much when we initially talked about it, a lot of guys have issues dressing in the spring and summertime. Because a lot of guys, they can just throw that turtleneck on, they can throw an overcoat, and it's easy to hide a lot of things maybe you don't want to hide. That's a lot. And I mean, I do like fashion a lot in the fall and winter, but truly I think it's difficult for a lot of guys to look good in that spring and summer time period. And so we just kind of talked about like different pieces that I really felt like would really inspire a lot of guys to feel more confident, because I don't know if you guys know this, but this is the year this is the summer everyone's going to be out.
Yeah.
Because this is truly
It's like the first summer back.
Yeah, first summer back. Like
Since
nobody
2019.
since 2019.
Yeah.
And so best believe everybody's gonna be outside. And I really wanted to create pieces that made guys feel confident, that still invoked my own style in it, because I'm a dapper, clean aesthetic guy. So we made textured polos. I think it's a big deal during the summertime to wear a lot of texture, because we can't do too much layering. So we made these textured polos that I have on. We made them in gray. We made them in navy, black, and tan.
Nice.
We also made button through polos that are short sleeve. So if you've seen a lot of guys wearing that, they're wearing tanks up under them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the whole line.
Huh?
I'm gonna get the whole line.
We did also we did tank tops too. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but tank tops are like the whole 90s swag is like coming back, layering up under tank tops, even sometimes wearing the tank tops by themselves. And then my biggest thing, a product that we actually sold out of in the same day were these trousers. They were these trousers that were kind of like had a side tab in them. They're kind of with a chino cotton fabric. And so like really easy, breathable to wear. Like even if it's like 98 degrees outside, you'll still be good. And a couple other things, but those are like the most things that we sold out of 3 pieces the day we launched.
Nice, bro.
That's fire.
That's amazing.
And now I'm gonna shout out our producer a little bit, and then I'm gonna pull back a little bit. But Samuel, reading the notes on you, I see how, and you're saying it you just said it in that last answer, so that brings it to my attention. You care a lot about the esteem of men and how men feel about themselves and how they feel about themselves in public. Where do you think that comes from? Like, do you recognize that that's a problem for black men, or is it just something you wanted to focus on?
I really actually just love brotherhood, bro. Like, I don't have any brothers, like blood brothers growing up or anything like that. I've just always been passionate about brotherhood and manhood, just for a lot of reasons. Like, like Caleb and I came up in a 2-parent household, but I know there's a lot of guys and friends that we made relationship with that have not.
Most of them.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a foreign concept. Sometimes you don't actually have those opportunities to be able, a guy said to me yesterday, I was on the phone with him, he said, man, he didn't have a father in his house. And so he said, man, something I just know about you, bro, like you have a peace about yourself. You're at ease, you know who you are. And at 29, there's not a lot of men that are even there yet. But like when you've been validated by your parents and you kind of just already know, some of that stuff is hard. You kind of just have to build it and find it in life. And whatever I can do as a guy online, guys have told me that they're, comments that my dad works all the time, so he's not really present in my life. He doesn't value me. My mom's never home. Some of the time when you're saying using this particular deodorant, it's the first time I'm having these conversations. To plug something recently, I've been doing that a partnership that's really impacted me on a big level is we just did this deal with Gillette. And they just came out with their intimate grooming line. So it's kind of like, I don't want to say it, but it's kind of like something because Gillette is the most trusted brand in America.
Right.
But when they made some trimmers that shave your balls, a lot of people like, oh, are you making something to combat or rival Manscaped? I think it's a whole lot better than Manscaped's product. But I think when we did that, I was a little bit uncomfortable when they asked me to talk about like shaving your balls on camera. I was just like, okay, what is the verbiage that I can use and I can say? How do you want this to look? But after I did it, it was a 6-month-long deal. And I was uncomfortable about it. When we finished the deal, I think I got like one more post to do for them before we're completely done. But I went to different spaces. Like I was at church one day and one of the reverends came up to me and he was like, man, he took me to the side. He was like, man, I saw your video, about shaving your balls. I'm thinking he finna judge me, say, you ain't supposed to be talking about that online. He said, nah, man. He said, you opened up a conversation at my house with my son. And I was like, he's like, I didn't even know he was shaving his balls. Then we started actually talking about it. And he's a present father.
Yeah.
But like, that's a conversation that like, even, me being a father myself, I'm like, that's a conversation I'm gonna have to have one
That's
day.
a conversation me and my dad never had. Still. To
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I never had that conversation with my pops. You know what I'm saying? Not to discredit him, it just
Yeah.
never had that space for it.
Yeah.
Or it just didn't come up.
Didn't come
Yeah.
up, you're maybe other things that were maybe more, because I mean, all of our parents, they're the first time becoming a father now makes me realize like, we're just doing the best we can, know? Like there are some things we're gonna miss. We're not perfect, we're just trying to guide them, your kids to success, just like our parents were. But, for me, I was just really inspired that was changing, and that goes back to what I really want is putting that confidence, having those conversations that maybe you're not having, educating people on things that are important because, man, like so many people don't have that.
They don't.
You know?
And I think at the end of the day too, like, it's so many conversations that happen every day about the same things and they don't touch on all of these wide ranges. It's so much stuff in our culture and just being an adult, being a man, being a woman, being in all these different spaces, that it's a million conversations that need to be had. But it takes influential and impactful people to bring light to the new conversation. Because I feel like with social media, they wake up, and if somebody hasn't given a good conversation, it's like, okay, so who paying for the dates? Just out of pure boredom or not having a direction for that day. Right. So these are conversations that you probably would have never thought, hey, I'm getting into fashion and modeling. It's gonna lead to me sparking these kind of conversations. So it just goes to show that it's truly an influence, not just content, I guess.
Yeah. I don't really even look at it like that anymore. Now the way I look at it, I'm at this point in my life where I just want to make better quality videos. I just want to figure out how I can be better, Like I was talking to Dez, and he looked at me and he was like, "Oh," we were talking about cameras, and he was like, "Oh, you know your stuff." And I'm just like, I'm not your TikTok show it on the phone type of person. Not to discredit people who are creators like that, because people do amazing things with the phone. But I think that like being Black, you have to work what they say,
2 times
as hard just to get there.
Half the results.
Half the results. And if I truly want to separate myself, and even if I say this to other Black content creators, if you truly want to separate yourself, you got to really stand out. Your quality means everything. Don't get me wrong. Whatever you can do with your phone is what you can do at that time. Because I came from being a phone person before I even had a camera. But I think that it's quality, and then now where I'm at is even over quantity. I think when you're building, you want to be consistent. You want to keep putting out. And then now I'm blessed to be able to say I have a large audience to where they expect more quality than quantity.
Production value is important.
Production value is very important.
I don't care what nobody say.
Another thing I just want to point out about you too, bro. Man, I don't know if you remember but starting out, but like when we were shooting like a lot of the photo shoots and the videos and stuff that we were doing, it just got to a point where it was like, I can keep shooting these, but also you can shoot a lot of this stuff on your own, bro.
I remember that. Bro, I remember that like the back of my hand, bro.
So just to speak to that, bro. So like basically like, we were shooting on a consistent basis, and like, I could have just, kept
taking my money.
Taking your money. You know what I'm saying? For lack of better words, I ain't want to just say it like that, but that's just what it was. Real. It was like, yo, bro, like I can keep charging you for this, or I can just show you how to do it yourself.
Right.
And it's not that he didn't want to do it. He was actually pouring into
you. Yeah, exactly.
Facts.
So I was pouring into you in a real way, in that way, and it's just like, bro, like just to see like where you've taken that little nugget to where it's at now, bro, is just crazy. Like I'm more than proud of you, bro. I just want to say that here. Like it's crazy to think like 10 years ago where we were and where we are now, but like it's not crazy because like I knew what you were capable of, bro. Even then, I knew that.
And that's why like I really am passionate about Brotherhood, because that network, right? He didn't have to do that. You didn't have to even do it. A lot of guys will just keep taking your money. I'm serious.
It's easy work. And
it's easy work. And I was.
We know a lot of people like that.
Yeah, we do. And I was more than willing to keep giving him my every last of my check. Bro, we got to make this look like this. And specifically, he told me on the phone one day, he was like, bro, you can make these videos yourself. Like, all you gotta do is this, put this here. Like, it's very, it's more simple. You're making it harder. And I'm like, okay, let me start doing it. And it turned me into a self-sufficient content creator. Because so many guys feel like, I got a homeboy now who I've been preaching this to him for years. And I'm like, bro, don't rely on anybody.
Right.
If I relied on Caleb all this time, number one, call a spade. Caleb said, nigga, I'm too busy. I'm getting too busy to be.
I mean, that's the other part of it. I was getting super busy.
But rightfully so.
Projects was getting bigger and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Rightfully so, of course.
I know the feeling though, because I be wanting Caleb to shoot everything. I be like, bro
you do, because he has such an amazing vision for stuff, and you get spoiled. You get spoiled. And so when he said, bro, you can do this on your own, I'm like, I'm a little bit uncomfortable. But it's like, and I have to give you your flowers, bro. Like, you were moving and shaking, and bro, we were like in our early 20s, like literally 21. Yeah. This man is getting on flights going to LA. We're on Snapchat like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what am I doing wrong in life? But when you start to move up, and I think we're also at that point right now in life, where the more you start to move up, your spaces change. Yeah. The people that you choose to be around changes. You have to be more picky with your time. And it's not that he didn't want to help me. It's just like he's not a half-assed person. So he wants to give me his best work whenever we work together. Right. But he saw that he wasn't able to give me that anymore. And which is, I think, really important in manhood, and I have a lot of respect for, is, hey, I'd rather show you than us going through this game, me taking your money. I can't really do it that well. Yeah.
And I think one of the most, it speaks to the quality conversation.
Oh yeah. No.
Today is crazy.
I gotta come back when all this is not going on. Like this because I'm thinking like, oh, this is normal.
Watch.
Bro, I guess they had no trains going yesterday.
6 p.m. Once everything stops, once business stops.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it speaks to the quality, right? Because, Caleb is not a self-promoter. Mm-hmm. Still to this day, he really not a self-promoter. Right. So if you look at back then where they wasn't even necessarily fishing for the next Caleb, like they are now, every day now somebody's trying to find the next star. You can get them the best content in the world today, and they're like, okay, tomorrow we got to find another Trey. Like they don't even savor the moment from a consumer or a corporate standpoint anymore. Yeah. But Caleb's not a self-promoter, so his climb speaks to that quality. Your climb speaks to the quality because you realize, hey, I've been consistent enough. Now I might not be doing 9 videos a day, but I'm doing 1 or 3 a week that's fire, and it's still gonna get me where I'm going.
Right, exactly.
Last question for me. Mm-hmm. When did you get married, and what made you say, because, black men, once we start getting hot, it's hard to say I'm finna go settle down. What was that process like?
Man, this is actually conversations I actually really like, because this is part of manhood, and a lot of people really don't talk about, and you're not really shown it unless you are going to look for it. But I think first it started with my journey. After I had this job where I was working as a travel and leasing consultant on different properties. So I was traveling and everything like that, and I got to a point in my life where some things needed to change, and some life-changing things happened. I came back, I started going to church, because we all believed in God, but I didn't really have a relationship with him for real. Mm-hmm. And so I came back, started going to this church, and my journey from there, I kind of told myself, I was like, dang, Trey, the way that I was moving, I was valuing sex over more so than things in my life. I couldn't even start the journey of being a content creator because I was too worried about doing other stuff. Mm-hmm. From then on, I think that that's when I started changing. And then that's when I had met my wife before, when she was just, we were both single at church. And when I met her at church, I saw just how she was just so sweet, bro. She was just sweet from the beginning and not really want anything. And I think it's really important to find a woman who values you and is like, because at the time, like my wife's a little bit older
Versus
than
your
me.
brand.
Right. She was already established when we first met. But I think that like still at this point in time, when we met, I think it was 2018 when we met. But like a lot of people, especially that were Black, didn't really know what, if you say, hey, I want to make money from the internet, that's not something that like just is common knowledge to a lot of people, especially you don't know anybody personally who does it. So when I told her that, you know, she was like, hey, you know, what do you want to do? You know, women always want to know. They're like, hey, well, what you want to do? What's your 3 to 5 year plan? And I said that this is what I want to do. A lot of girls could have just been like, okay, you know, what? But she actually wanted to invest in it. And you remember that photo shoot where you took pictures of me in that burgundy suit? Mm-hmm. She got me that suit.
That's crazy. She
got me the suit. So I told her, I was like, oh, I had a photo shoot coming up that I want to do.
It's one thing I just want to say out loud, man. Man, can I say her name?
Joy? Yeah, you
all right, cool. Man, Joy is just so like dope, man. You said something that really stuck with me, even just now. You said your wife values you.
Yeah.
It's different when a woman wants you versus valuing you. Like, and that's huge. And like just that discernment to know that she values you, she invested into you, you know what I'm saying, in a real way. Like she bought your suit for a photo shoot, had no idea what you plan on doing long term, for real. Like she heard what you said,
right?
But she never really knew. She just believed in you and she valued you. Like that's huge.
Right.
But I'm gonna let you go.
No, that's like so real, bro, because like for me, like even the way that it happened, right? Like, you know, I come over her house one day, we were about to kick it, and I see this Express bag. And I'm just like, oh, what's that? You got yourself something from Express? She's like, nah, this is for you. And I'm like, why you get this for me? You know,
it ain't my birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, okay. An Express blazer is like, bro, like $200.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you spending this kind of money on me? Yeah. And we're friends at the time. So I'm just like, okay, you know, I felt like already like, oh wow, like you want to know, you believe in me or like where I'm going, even if you don't even know what it looks like Caleb said, you know, long term. And over time, I think just her investing in me, her and saying like, hey, you know, I was at a job. I used to work for Tesla for a little while. I've had like 17 jobs. But, you know, she was just like, do you really like that job? You know, do you really want to be there? Is that really what you want to do? And I was just like, you know, no.
It's cool, but nah.
It's good. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool, but nah. And over time, man, I just kind of realized, especially, you know, to the pandemic, we really got a chance to go through some things that really said, for me to say, this is my wife. But, you know, and just to also put this out there, we did not have sex before we got married. So I personally did not have sex for 3 years.
A little bit braver than me.
I don't even know who I am. Because look, these two can tell you, this is not who I used to be.
And I'm done. Go ahead.
I'm gonna just say this, man. Like, Trey had some great times in college. That's all I'm saying. Trey had some great times in college, man.
I know the Kennesaw talent.
So like, I ain't even know if you wanted to talk about that, but since you are bringing it up, like just having that level of discipline, you know what I'm saying, for your partner, for your spouse, bro. Like that was just so inspiring to me, bro. Honestly, like, cause. Bro,
Caleb shot my wedding, by the way.
I shot his wedding.
Plug.
You know what I'm saying? and that's what happens when you work with like real people and build organic relationships instead of like everything being transactional. Like, here a video. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Like, talk to people. You know what I'm saying? Really connect with them in a real way.
The best networking is by mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Meaning, I meant to build a relationship with you. I didn't mean to network with you.
Right.
It's completely different.
Okay, bars.
Because
that's like, bro, you 2 for 2 right now.
Hey man, I'm a writer. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can get in my bag if we're talking. But but I just really look at that as something. If you can discipline yourself, then everything else around your life can become disciplined. Mm-hmm. So it's like, even by mistake, you took a stance to be disciplined in the way you treated your body, and everything else started to matriculate for you. And we don't talk about that enough because everything is gluttony. Everything is selfish. And like, one of my favorite concepts now is, it's not love if it's selfish. What she was doing was doing stuff for you that at the time had no benefit to her. Yeah. And that was the impact. That's why it impacted you the way, that's why she impacted you the way she did. She didn't buy you a suit to take her to dinner. She bought you a suit for you.
Let me say this too, man. It ain't even about like the money part of it. It's just the thought that, okay, this is something that I know my partner possibly needs. Let me at least try to supply it. Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get people just caught up on like the financial aspect because, you know, for the record, she is a doctor. You know, she is a doctor. Money's there, but at the same time, like, let's just say it's a couple where money isn't there. Just at least think about the other person. Like, okay, somebody flying back into town, like, all right, let's think about like having a meal ready and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? If she out of town, like, make sure she got flowers on the way back in. Like things like that. That goes a long way. That's $15. Maybe 20.
You can go to Kroger and get the dozen roses for like,
come on.
You know what I'm saying?
And she ain't gotta know?
Clutch.
Cool. But it's just the thought though.
Kroger, send me the bag, bro. It's cool.
It's all about the thought, man. And I think that, you know, that journey really helped me to be disciplined because there are seasons to life. You know, that was a season in my life where, you know, I was really, really, really struggling, trying to find my way, granted I lived by myself, but there were times where like, bro, I didn't have no money. Like my bank account got hacked one time where my check had bounced for the first time and $800 was taken out of my account, couldn't pay my rent. And
we were fresh out of college.
Yeah.
I mean.
It still hurt. It put a different kind of hunger in you though.
Yeah, it did. And so, there was a point in time where I had to work that even in our relationship, we were actually dating, I had to work 7 days a week for 3 months, just to be able to keep my lights on, keep my head above water. And, one thing she appreciated was a man with hard work, that does hard work. I wasn't finessing out here saying, baby, can you give me like, $150 or anything like that.
Flip your income tax.
Yeah, and I'm dating a woman who is financially stable.
Yeah.
But I think it's also the pride in, me as a man. I didn't want to ask, at all. I didn't want to ask for help.
Yeah.
But just her continuing to be there, her continuing to help me through each season, supporting me. I just realized that, man, like what a lot of guys don't realize, and the biggest question I get from a lot of guys is, bro, how did you know? How did you know that she was the one? Because now with social media even more ruining a lot of things, you know how many options out there. You know what the women look like in Brazil. You know what the women look like in Cartagena. And so it makes you be like, well, something else may better. It might come.
So what you're saying is stop looking at my Explore tab.
It actually ruins you, bro. It does ruin you.
It
Yeah, I had, and even social media hates me now because they still trying to pull this stuff up to me, and I hashed my Instagram like 3 years ago. But it's like even more now, like it's like you have to realize that life is so much bigger than just like the relationship. When you choose to do life with someone, is someone that you can build with. Somebody that invests in you, you invest in them, and you can build a life with. Because think about it, bro. Even in 30 years, our lives, the world is going to still be different. And you want to be able to still have somebody that's willing to go on that journey with you. These looks, these fake booties, these, the titties and all that stuff like that, all that is really temporary.
The baby hairs.
The baby. Yeah. But when we get to be in our 60s, do I actually like you? Do I actually, can we be friends? Can we just, like, bro, there's a lot of people I don't even like to go on vacation with.
Bro, like, and that leads me to another thing too, bro. Like, can you sit in a room with this other person with the lights off and just talk? Just talk. And can you enjoy listening to them?
Right.
That's a bar. Can you enjoy listening to them? Is a bar.
Bro, me and my wife, because we waited that time, we have a wonderful friendship. Like, we shoot basketball together. Like, we play horse. Like, we can, a point of our, like, normal dates.
She can hoop, he did.
She would be you?
Yeah, she does.
She really a shooter like that, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, you know what I'm saying? You help me get my looks together. I help you with your form. We got a basketball court.
My dog, I've seen it.
You know what I'm saying? It's a trade-off.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And so we're able to have such a great friendship and actually like generally like want to hang out and be with each other. And a lot of people don't have that. And I didn't really truly realize how important that is until I got married. Until like we've been able to go out of the country. Until we've been able to do different things together.
I do want to ask this question. This is a question that I never thought I would ask. Because you brought it up. You was celibate 3 years. The longest I've been celibate 6 months. You ever been celibate?
I've never been engaged. I've never been
I was
on the way to marriage.
Intentionally celibate for a reason.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't celibate because I was waiting on my partner.
Right. I do want to say I chose to be celibate, not for her. If I would have done it for her, I would have slept with somebody else for sure. Because that's not what. Let's be honest. During the pandemic was one of the hardest times because we did not live together beforehand. So that was my own journey to not sleep with someone during the pandemic. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of pandemic babies.
Yeah. So I mean, my relationship with God is why I did it.
Got it.
But I still think that it's still good for any man truly to do. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off though.
So when I did it because I wanted to test myself. It ain't have nothing to do with, I didn't get caught cheating or I didn't do it to impress anybody.
Right.
I did it just as a discipline test, right?
Right.
Seen some of the worst behavior from people when I was, not even just women, men too. It was boys that I was around who thought I was trying to be better than them or trying to be a pick-me in certain conversations because it would come up in conversation. Yeah. I used to do all kind of kickbacks and stuff in my house.
Right.
And when it would come up, they thought I was trying to steal the room. Why you trying to impress these girls, bro? Nah, I really didn't do it. But it gave me clarity outside of just sex. And, in college, everybody having sex 100 miles an hour. So I just needed clarity because I went into my career right out of college. And I just was like, I'm not happy here. I'm not happy with the money. I wasn't happy in college. What is going on? So it was just a good opening of my world to me. So I was just wondering, did it give you that same, outside of the relationship side?
It did on the personal side. Oh,
I was about to say, what you just described, bro, just that increased level of discipline. I didn't really have that experience through sex. I had it through food. So I went from eating red meat, pork, and we from the country, so we eat everything, right?
I can't get this nigga to eat Wendy's no more,
bro. When we was in school, Sammy, you probably know this too. I had cut everything out, went straight vegan. You know what I'm saying? No cheese, no pork, no meat, no seafood, no nothing. Dropped 40, 50 pounds.
I do remember that.
You remember that?
I do.
Yeah, so I went straight vegan, bro. And I was probably vegan for a year, bro. You know what I'm saying? A year and a half. And then even after that, I just kept out the red meat, the chicken, and then slowly added back certain things, added back seafood to my diet. Kept dairy off, but I did other things, you know what I'm saying? And through that journey, right, it just it really increased my energy,
your
my
awareness
focus,
about your body.
My awareness, how food affects me, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. You don't really pay attention to those things until you go through a journey like that. And I'm pretty sure sex can provide the same thing. Obviously, it's been lapses in between dating certain women and stuff like that. So naturally, it might have been 2 or 3 months where I didn't have sex.
Right.
But I wasn't really keeping tabs on that. So
Right,
I don't
right,
really know to say in this conversation.
Yeah.
But when it comes to food, there was a year and a half where I'm damn, I could use some breakfast with bacon. And I can do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
it's crazy. I can't do it with food.
For real?
I keep trying to get myself to the point of eating cleaner.
That's
or
hard.
Eating better. But my life is so chaotic.
Food is addictive,
to me
bro.
is about convenience. It's not even about I need a cheeseburger or I need. If Caleb put a vegan restaurant in front of the studio, I'll become vegan just because it's right there.
Oh, I see.
And that's how they put fast food in black neighborhoods. It's right there.
Convenience.
If we want to get Whole Foods, we got to drive 20 minutes. If I want to get the worst food in America, I can walk outside.
It's all up and down the West End.
Yeah, it is, bro. But it does. It provided a lot of clarity. Stuff that you just spoke about that you saw, man. Because you don't realize how much us as men are controlled by sex. Our decisions are made by sex, in so many different avenues, right? Think about dating, or even think about how you date, right? Or the person that you choose to entertain. You're not going to have sex with this person.
So now I really gotta like you.
I really gotta like you, but now my decisions are based off of like what I'm hearing from you every day. I'm hearing what you're saying in your conversations a little bit more. I'm not like thinking about, okay, so maybe if I do this, I do the right things about 3 more weeks, she gonna let me hit.
Right.
You know,
right.
you're not thinking about that at all. It's like, and even for me, right? Like as being still, when we were dating, I was working in different jobs. I was still meeting people. I could hear other women's conversations. And it was just like, normally, if I was having sex, if like, let's say me and my partner were having sex at the time, I would have been like, okay, well, shoot, you know, you might be able to do something better or something like that, or I might be interested. But it's like, now it's like, I'm comparing you to her, but I'm comparing, are you even as smart as her?
Brain.
Yeah, are you even as smart as her? Are you a liability or are you an asset? Are you gonna invest in me? Or are you sitting here talking about yourself or what you finna do in the next few minutes, what drink, what bar you finna hit? Like, you know, I didn't really realize it, but like, I think a lot of men should date girls who go to bed by 10.
Bro, 1,000%, bro. Please say that.
I think a lot of guys should.
Get a nerve. But, because it'd be for the birds, man. Like, you know, just having somebody who has like a routine, who can like, bro, let's be honest, bro. Like, women are like the stabilizing tissue for us as men. Mm-hmm. So if they shit ain't together, our shit gonna be out of whack. If our shit out of whack, they gonna be out of whack. It's two sides of a coin, bro. We gotta work together.
Yeah.
But like, even now, if I meet a new girl that I want to date, I won't touch her for the first 30 to 60 days.
That's good.
Especially if she want to do it sooner.
Red flag.
But that's when you see the bad side of that woman. Mm-hmm. Like, because women know that we're predicated on sex. Yeah. So they use it to their advantage. Mm-hmm. When they can't use it to their advantage, then they either have to go to the other tricks in their bag and have to have some value there, or they don't, and now the conversation just start like, you start like, like, I don't want to talk to you about nothing.
Right. Yeah. You know the biggest superpower that every man has, but they can use it, but they may not.
The ability to abstain from sex.
Walk away. Yep. To walk away from situations that don't suit you. Because if you're a man on a mission, a journey, like you're a man of value. Caleb said that he didn't eat these things. So it's like, now it's like that you don't really realize, you may not really look at it that deep, but that even cuts off the women he may date, because there may be a situation where
they don't want to go to a vegan restaurant.
Right. Or they don't want to.
You don't want no barbecue?
They don't want to make no accommodations for him.
Yep.
They're not willing to make the accommodations for him. So he can easily cut a girl out, just like, okay, you're not for me. If you're already not willing to make accommodations for what just my eating, my dietary restrictions are right now, then you're later in our relationship, you're gonna be like, nah, I want to do this, and you're not gonna value what I'm really trying to do in my life.
Everything about you a narcissist.
Man. Let's end on this though.
All right.
Don't want to turn it into a male podcast.
But before we end, I do want you to just like plug all of your brands, everything that you are a part of, everything that you're working on, if you want to just kind of talk about that real quick.
Yeah. So I said this before, but my name is Trey Bryant. On social media, that's what I do for a living. I talk about men's fashion, lifestyle, grooming, overall to help the man be better. I'm really passionate about, like I said, about brotherhood, about manhood, about just to be a better man overall, how you can be the best version of yourself. And you can follow me at Trey Bryant Style on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And that's where, pretty much you'll keep up with everything that I do. I post one YouTube video a week. I post somewhat almost like daily, or if not every few days, on Instagram and TikTok. And I just recently released a brand with essentials with Jose Zuniga. Some people may know him, teaching men's fashion. His brand with essentials, and we just recently dropped a spring summer collection that I'll of course you guys will link below. But right now, man, I am just even personally in my life as a new father, married. I want to get into the relationship and marriage space, but not really relationship like giving people advice, but more or less just showing the family structure. A big thing that I really want to start even talking about is, or just showing rather, making content around, is just family. Yeah. Like I want to be like, I want to, did y'all? I don't know if y'all know this. It's just something. You know how much money mother influencers make?
A lot.
$2 million. Just all brand deals.
On average.
On average, it's all brand deals yearly.
Bree.
Shout out to Tabitha.
Tabitha making bread.
Yeah, I met her one time in Malibu. She going crazy. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I already know.
I met Tabitha Brown in Target.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where her brand is at.
But she wasn't like, it wasn't like an activation or nothing. No, she was big already. Yeah. She just literally was walking through. She was covered up. I just so happened to catch her, and you could tell she was like, "Don't make a scene, nigga. Don't make a scene." but she was just cool person to be around.
Great person. Shout out to her just for supporting Culture Misfits as well.
I saw that.
She went to KM a lot.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
My ending. I'm gonna ask you the same question your wife did. What does your next 3 to 5 years look like?
I think I want to continue to create like dope videos. I want to just continue to get better at creating just really, really good content and just figuring out how that works, get into the intricacies of how I could just be better in that space. Because I really am passionate about creating content. I do want to release another product of my own, not in collaboration with anyone. Still working through some things of how to do that, but I definitely want to release 1 or 2 products in the next 3 to 5 years that I'm, very passionate about, that I feel like are going to help a lot of people. I do see myself working into getting more into the entertainment space. Not necessarily sure how, but I'm manifesting it right now. I'm praying about it. Getting more into the entertainment side of, like with magazines, kind of like, bro, I kind of really want to be like a fashionable Obama.
Fire. Don't wear that brown suit he had on.
Whoa, what was wrong with the brown suit?
I wasn't mad at it, but he got the backlash for the brown suit.
Bro, I made a story about it. I made a YouTube video about it. It's like my take on the 5 suits every man needs, the whole Steve Harvey trend that blew up. And when I made that video, I talked about it because there's a whole story, like sub-story to when he wore that tan suit, bro. Like, they felt like he wasn't being professional, but we all know what that
presidential.
Yeah, we all know what that really is.
He's being black.
Yeah.
Nigga. But I want to get this on camera too, and then we can get out.
Yeah.
How much you gonna charge me to be my stylist?
I actually don't style people. Sorry,
I thought I had them.
But I can make. But if you make a request, what kind of video you need, I got you.
Bet. Ready? Yeah, so to be a change agent, you have to be 2 things. You have to be inspired. You have to be aware. One is a gift. One is from God. Lean into both. I'm Trav.
I'm Caleb.
We out.